Guys, welcome back to Coliseum of Comics. I know you guys aren't surprised. I am back with another OG, first class Hall of Fame Power Ranger, the original, the OG Black Power Ranger, Mr. Walter Jones himself. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Oh, what's up, brother? How are you? You good?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
Man, I'm blessed and I'm aware. You know what I'm saying? Like when you know you're blessed and you're aware of it, that makes it even better. You're like, yeah, life is good. I'm gonna appreciate this moment.
Absolutely. And honestly, the way you frame that is perfect because this is for me, as such a big fan of yours growing up. This is one of those moments for me. I need to appreciate this. So
Love that.
I have a bunch of questions for you, stuff that I've thought up when I was 11 years old that I didn't think I'd ever get the opportunity to ask. So we're just going to jump right into it. First question. In the opening credits of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, you do this kind of like body roll hip hop move, right? Part of Hop Keto. Yeah. There it is. That was about to be my question. Do you still got it? Clearly you still got it.
It's not an issue, man. I got the moves. I do. That's what I do. What are you talking about? Come on. Do I still got it? Like, what happened? What did you do?
No, it doesn't go anywhere, right? So this is, if I understand correctly, and I've seen David Yost kind of talk about this, and Austin and I had talked a little bit about this, but one of the things that set because I guess they had cast 3 whole teams of Rangers for that original season, right?
Right. And then we cast the original, the full cast.
Yeah, that's what I had read, and I'd heard David talk about it, and Austin had mentioned it. There was like a tall team, and then like a small team.
Okay. No, it wasn't a recasting. It was during the initial audition.
Yeah, right.
During the initial audition, they auditioned thousands of people, and then at the end, when it went to network, they brought to the network 3 different casts. There was a tall cast, there was a short cast, and there was like an older cast. It was very charactery. And the shorties, we won. Hey.
So let me ask you this. In the thing that I had heard and like I said, David had talked about it, Austin had talked about it a little bit. You guys kind of clicked pretty quickly. Like you guys went out and read lines and did like lunch and stuff together. Like you guys became kind of pals before, like during the process.
Yeah, I mean, we in the process of the audition, it was interesting because I had an audition with I had to do a scene with Austin. When they were reading Austin, they had already kind of like, I knew they liked me, and they had me reading with different Red Rangers, right?
Right.
And so I read with a couple of different guys, and then Austin came in, and Austin had a great charismatic energy, but he wasn't really an actor. So while we were doing our lines, like he wasn't completely down on his lines. It's not something he was accustomed to doing. I had a degree in musical theater, so I was like, I was acting was my thing, but it wasn't his thing. It was like, for him, it was a bet that he went on, and he just auditioned, and it worked out. So, but during the audition, he got his lines. So what I did was the line that he missed, I kind of put it into my lines and answered it to lead him into his next line. And then he followed suit, and he jumped right back on. But of course, the writers and the producers and the casting people, they knew what happened. They were like, wow, I like the way he carried that real quick. He got him back on, and after that happened and he done well, it was like we had a chemistry already. It was like, yo, all right, thanks a lot for carrying me back there. It's like we had like a brotherhood almost right away. And then with the rest of everybody else, like David Yost came into the audition. I think there was Austin, myself, Amy Jo, and perhaps it was Audrey Dubois, must have been, and or no, Austin wasn't in there. They were reading for Red Rangers, and I think it was Amy Jo, maybe it was Amy Jo and myself, and David came in, who had read for it was Austin. So David had read for the Red Ranger. They didn't like him, so they sent him away. Okay, you're done for the day. Thank you for coming to audition. And so David went away and changed his clothes and borrowed some clothes and a tie and somebody's glasses or whatever, and came back and was like, I want to read as the Blue Ranger. And they were like, no. And first they said, no, oh, we don't see you as the Blue Ranger. Let me try it. They're like, no, we don't see you as the Blue Ranger. So he went back, borrowed the clothes, got the glasses, came back as a character. And they were like, oh, okay, well, let's give it a go. And then he came in and he read with us, and he was incredible. I was like, oh, all right. So during the process of auditioning, we kind of like helped each other, and we were cheering each other on. And after the fact, we went out and we had lunch together after they put us together as a cast. We're like, all right, Amy Jo and I are definitely actors. and we know that chemistry is important. So let's go build some chemistry. Let's go have lunch. Let's like talk about our characters and how we know each other and what we think about each other, and like, you know, what's our vibe, what's our energy, and it worked out because we actually ended up having an amazing chemistry as a cast.
Yeah, no, when I did the Coliseum Forum with Austin, he even mentioned that you guys ended up living together. You guys were like roommates when you guys were doing the show.
Austin was well, we were doing like 15-hour days. So
right.
Austin was living somewhere, I think in Orange County, which is quite a ways away, maybe 45 minutes from downtown of LA, 45 minutes or so. And so we would get off at like 8 o'clock, and we have to be 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. We'd have to be back on the set at 6 a.m. And I think one day he was like, "Hey, bro, do you mind if I crashed at your place, you know, till tomorrow?" And we're like, "Yeah." So he crashed, and then he crashed another night. And then it was like, "Man, you might as well move in here," you know? So
right.
He moved in. We had 4 rooms, and we had a big room that was like an entertainment room. We had a TV in there. You stepped down into it. It had glass windows around it. It had access to the backyard, but it was like the room we all went through to get to the backyard. And
right.
We were like, well, I don't know where you can stay. Maybe you could take this room. And we gave him, you know, that room. And do you know, he ended up having the best room in the house after he decked it out with the bed and pictures and music and stereo. It was the biggest room in the house. And it had access to the backyard. So it was like he had access to come in and out. It was like, what do we do? We've been all living here for like years, and now he comes in and he's got the best room in the house. It's crazy, but it was fun.
So you're from Detroit, obviously, right?
Yeah.
What was it like to, you know, like you said, you had a musical theater degree, and then all of a sudden you find yourself, you're a star of literally, I mean, Power Rangers was like that first big, like the toy trend. And I mean, they're still making action figures of you today, 28 years later.
Yeah.
So what's it like, you know, growing up in Detroit, getting this role, and then being like, I mean, you're literally a superhero. There are guys my age that grew up with you that like you are like, listen, this is a true story. I don't know if my brother's watching tonight. I said, you're his favorite by far, undeniable Power Ranger. You're his guy. Cool. When the show premiered, all right, there's a nerd named Billy. All right, that's obviously me. That's my guy. Right away, Zach Taylor, that's his guy. And so I was like, you got any questions for him? And his only question for you was, hey, will he be my best friend? And I was like, there it is. Yeah. So, you know, what is that like for you, from going from, you know, being a musical theater guy to a superhero, literally a superhero, like pretty quickly?
Well, you know, I think what it is it's to be a role model in 40 countries around the world, to be a Black role model, first Black actor or Black superhero on live action TV in history, on a show that's aired daily and is in 40 countries in multiple languages. It was weird. It was like, yo, this is a lot. And I mean, nobody expected it. We didn't know that's what was going to happen. But when it happened, it was like, to be honest, I didn't really know. I knew it was big. I didn't understand how big it was until 10 or 15 years later.
Really?
Now I see you guys as adults. Because now I hear stories. Before you were kids, you didn't talk. You were shy. You saw us and you're like, you know, you're excited.
Yeah.
And then or you didn't look at us. You were like, I can't see you. I can't see. It was like, it was weird. But now as adults, you come up to and go, bro, I dressed up as you every day. I became a firefighter because I wanted to be like you. You know, or I started taking martial arts as a kid because I wanted to be like you. And now I own 3 karate studios. So now I understand the impact that we had on everybody. And man, how humbling is that? It's like, it's amazing to know that we are so beloved in so many places around the world. I love it.
No, it's got to be an incredible feeling. Like just to highlight what you just said, you're going to be at Coliseum of Comics, Kissimmee this weekend. Yeah. And I mean, I've been a fan of yours for literally 2 years shy of 30 years. I get to meet you this weekend. Anybody in that area, if you're in that Central Florida area, you got to schedule that in on Sunday, right? Like that's got to happen.
Oh yeah. Well, we're going to have a good time.
So leading into my next question, you're classically trained musical theater. You're an auteur, right? And you come in and now you're a superhero. I mean, is that really where you kind of saw yourself going, or it was just like, oh, this job, I guess it'll be cool, and then now you are Zach Taylor. There could never be another Zach Taylor, right? So,
well, I mean, what it is it's a role that I did that was successful.
Sure.
But I've done many roles. I've done work. It's amazing. It's like I have this long career of working in television and film, and some things didn't work that well, and some things did work that well. Like I worked on The Shield, which was with Mike Chiklis. The show won a Golden Globe and won an Emmy. I was in those seasons with him, working side by side with him, and probably one of my best acting experiences, working with like such amazing professionals. And I held my own. I did my thing. It was cool. But there's very few people that remember that role, right? But everybody knows Power Rangers. So I love the fact that I'm a role model. I love the fact that Power Rangers is a shining star among my career. But I've done a lot of different things. I've done.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an actor. I'm a singer, a dancer. I do a little bit of everything. So I thank God for the success that I've had, and I'm looking forward to having more.
No, I mean, we could touch on the rest of your career. We're just nerds, and we love nerd stuff, and but I mean, I remember after you left Power Rangers, like, oh, hey, Zach's on TGIF this week. Oh, he's on Step by Step. He's on Family Matters. Like, I mean,
right.
The Shield. You mentioned The Shield.
Space Cases.
Yep. Oh, Space Cases, man. That, like, I mean, you were everywhere. Like, and then you mentioned The Shield, working with Michael Chiklis. Here's the thing, man. He took a break from The Shield to go to the Fantastic Four. He tried his hand at the superhero thing, and I'm going to say, like, you were probably a lot more successful at it than he was.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. And actually, the show that I had on Nickelodeon, it kind of happened for me then the opposite way, because I had this hit show, Power Rangers, and then I had a hit show on Nickelodeon because it was the #2 show on Nickelodeon, Space Cases, behind Kenan and Kel. But it cost 3 times the amount to produce it because of all the special effects. So when it came down to it, I ended up getting booked for an Aaron Spelling show called Malibu Shores.
Okay.
So that was like Aaron Spelling. Aaron Spelling is like, he made Dukes of Hazzard, he made Charlie's Angels, he made all these Dallas, all these big, huge hit primetime shows. That's where I want to go. That's my next place to be. So I got offered this job to work with him as a series regular. And I walked away from my show on Nickelodeon, which I wish I hadn't done in retrospect, because we were doing well. It was a good hit show. It didn't end the way I wanted it to end. And a lot of fans were disappointed. But I had to take that chance to see if I could be on a hit primetime show with Aaron Spelling. So I did that. And that show only went 1 season. So unfortunately, I walked away from my show, did that show, hit primetime, but it just didn't make the mark, So that's, as an actor, you got to take those chances. You got to throw yourself out there.
So let me ask you this, right back into the nerd questions. If you could have been in any season besides MMPR, the original, like, anything that came after you guys, so like Zeo or Turbo or, Dino Fury, whatever, what season would you have come back for? I mean, I know you've done guest spots, and I'll actually talk about that in a second, but I mean, in terms of like suiting back up as a Ranger. Well,
I think I can't say that I'm completely educated about all the seasons.
Right.
I say educated.
Yeah, educated.
I can't say that I'm completely educated about all the seasons. However, I do know there are a few that I think it would have been fun to be part of, just from the people that I know. Like Time Force, I think that would have been a good season to be part of. Megaforce, I think that would have been cool. I actually should have been in Megaforce. I should have been there. They should have had Zach come back as well, but they couldn't deal with the union thing, I guess.
Yeah, no, there's no way you shouldn't have been in that the Megaforce, the Super War, whatever. That would have been awesome, man.
Yeah, I think they had my character represented, somebody in the Black Ranger costume, but Zach should have showed up.
But it wasn't you, yeah. So you mentioned Time Force. I mean, are you tight with like Jason Font? Because I have not met Jason Font.
Aaron Cahill, I love all those guys. They're cool.
From what I've heard, like the like especially the two you just name dropped, they're like super beloved. Now, Time Force is a little bit after my time. Like by the time Time Force rolled around, I'm a teenager. I'm like, I'm too cool for this now, which is not true because I've gone back and watched it since. But I mean, Jason seems to be pretty, pretty universally loved in like the Ranger, community.
Yeah, Ponty.
If I ever get the chance to meet him and be like, hey, is it true your nickname's Fonty? I'm sure he'll love that. But you have come back to Power Rangers, more than a handful of times. Like, I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but you've done like ADR voiceover work for like monsters and bad guys in the show.
Yeah, I did a voice of a monster in Forever Red.
Yep.
That was one of those episodes where it's like, this is a big episode. We're bringing back Austin. You're not a Red Ranger, but we like you to be part of it. Would you be interested in doing the voice of a monster? And I was like, yeah, why not? So, I was always really cool with all the voiceover guys like Tony Oliver and Scott Page, those guys. So, I was happy to come in and do some work on that. That was fun.
Awesome. Okay. Kind of on the same subject though. If you could have been any other color Ranger besides the Black Ranger, who would you have done?
Oh, that's easy. The Black Ranger.
You just stuck with black, just straight Black Ranger forever. Day, there you go. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, with the 30th anniversary coming up, and if you can't talk about,
how is that possible?
I know.
I'm 28. Come on, man.
I know. Man, I'm still a 12-year-old. Like, let's be real. Like, anything coming up that you can share with us, or if you can't, I understand that.
A few things. I got a few things coming up. I got a couple of films that are in production. A film called Scream Before You Die that I'm excited about. It's like kind of a gritty crime film involving cops. And I'm doing an animation project called Meet the Walkers that's in development. Kind of a film about, an animation film about some zombies and
sure.
and them living in a world where they're in the same environment as humans. And then I just I worked on a short film. It's actually I'm working on a short film right now. I just finished working on a short film called Black. It is a fan film, and probably one of the first ones that one of the few ones that I've been involved with, and I like the story. So I just went in and shot with that. It's with this director writer named Dana Shelby, and he did a great job. I think he's doing a great job with it. We'll see what happens. But I threw myself in there and added to the story. So hopefully it'll be something that the fans enjoy.
So I've heard this from several sources. You're like, apparently it's still like just an amazing dancer. And then going into Power Rangers, martial arts was like kind of a secondary thing you kind of picked up on set, but like dancing is what kind of that was true. Like, that's not true? No, that's not true. The martial arts was not a secondary thing. I was the Pee Wee Michigan State champion in Detroit, Michigan. So I studied Ishin-Ryu as a kid and was a brown belt in Ishin-Ryu. Hadn't studied since like my early teenage years, but I was accomplished as a martial artist. I had trophies and won trophies and fighting, sparring, and katas. Dancing was something that I've always done. It's always been part of my life, and I dance in a multitude of ways, from pop locking to break dancing and jazz tap, ballet, salsa, so forth and so on. So it's just another one of my skills, but not. I wouldn't say that it was like secondary at all. Sure, absolutely. I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing the Coliseum Forum from home, and I'm waiting for one of my sons to be like, "Daddy's talking to the Black Ranger," and like freak out. So, going into it, but with like, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. The Hip Hop Keto, they'd kind of written into the script, but like you kind of designed like your moves and all the stuff you'd be doing for that. It had to be my creation. Like they in the script it would say, "All right, Zach does Hip Hop Keto." So I was like, okay, so let me figure out what I'm gonna do. And basically what the stunt coordinator would do, he would pick out a place for me to do stuff, and we'd try to come up with creative ways to use it. Like, at one point I was fighting in the park, and there was a park bench, and we're like, okay, so how am I gonna fight on this park bench to do Hip Hop Keto? And so I ended up doing a series of spins and kicks and just like Jackie Chan-ish stuff on the park bench, fighting putties and ducking under them and like flipping over them, that kind of thing. That was less dancing and more acrobatic. Do you know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah. But that was Hip Hop Keto too. Right. Hip Hop Keto being what it was
all things. It could be gymnastics, it could be tricking, it could be dancing and martial arts. But it was a combination of all of the skills that made it what it was.
So at this point, I mean, you know, you set out to be an actor and you've been on TV, you've been in film, you do voiceover work. I think you were in like Sunny with a Chance of Meatballs too. Like you've done voiceover work. Like you said, you've got another project coming out.
Red Dead Redemption, different stuff.
There you go. And so what of the theatrical arts is your favorite if you had to pick one?
What a theatrical, well, I love acting.
Sure.
And within acting, in acting, you develop characters. So I can have a character that's multi-talented. Right. So the more talents that I have, the more repertoire I have to play with. You know what I'm saying? So that character can be somebody that's nerdy, but is an amazing martial artist. Or you could be somebody that's shy, but can dance, you know, like, so those kind of things you can bring to a character and make them more, you know, more developed.
No, that makes sense. Absolutely. So I do want to go back to your audition process really quickly, because this is a personal question I've always wondered. When you guys went in to read, you know, because I kind of heard what the casting call stuff was like, but did they have like backgrounds? Like they were like, all right, Zach Taylor, he's a hip hop karate instructor. He is the slickest dude in Angel Grove. Or did you get to come up with a lot of that stuff?
Well, they had a character breakdown for what they wanted. So basically the character breakdown for Zach was that he was a popular kid. He was super athletic, was an amazing dancer, and had his own form of martial arts called Hop Keto. So in the audition process, I went in, I read my lines with the casting director, and they were like, okay, that's great. We like you, you know, we think you're a good actor. Can you dance? And I'm like, yeah. They said, can you show us something? So I broke down some moves, you know, did my thing, like did some dancing. And they were like, oh, that was really great. Okay, now can you do any martial arts? And I was like, all right. So I did some picada, some kicks and some punches, you know. And then they were like, oh, okay, that's good. Now, can you do any flips? There's not a lot of space here, but is there anything you can do? You can show us. And I was like, I could do a back flip, a back tuck. So I did a back tuck, landed, and they were like, oh, that's great. That's awesome. Now, can you put it all together?
What?
Okay. I'm like, wow, that's okay. I got to put it all right now, right? Okay. Because it wasn't like I got to plan it out and be like, okay, let me think. I'm going to do, this is what Hip Hop Keto is going to be for me. I had to figure it out in the moment.
Right.
And go, all right. So I did some punches and some kicks. I threw in a breakdancing flair that looked like a kick because I knew that looked like hip hop. Came up from the ground, did a backflip, and then bowed out. And they were like, that was awesome. Great. We want you to come back tomorrow. So
there you go.
And then
how long, you mentioned you had read with Austin, you know, and kind of helped ad lib that. And because I mean, obviously he is the Red Ranger, right? Like that worked out really well. You know, and you guys worked together, you know, kind of come up with little backstories and things like that. How long was that entire audition process before they were like, all right, man, you're Zach?
I think it was about a week and a half, maybe. I think the process of auditioning, we probably auditioned like 4 or 5 times, maybe more, because we went through the first week, the initial week with casting. And then after that, we went to, maybe if you can walk out, just walk out. Okay. She's all ducking down.
Yeah.
We went through the audition process with casting. And then from castings, we met with the producers. And then from the producers, we met with the network. So it was a process.
So listen, I know you have an engagement after this. I am going to let you off the hook because here's the thing. You're going to come visit us here on Sunday. You're going to be here
from Sunday. Right. Let's go. I'll be answering questions and signing autographs. And we'll be taking photos and let's get it.
So here's the thing. If I missed your question, and I'm sure you did, because like, I'll be honest, this was a selfish moment for me. I get to ask all my questions that I've wondered about for years and years. So if I missed your question, you had a question and you're upset about it. Listen, he's going to be in Kissimmee this Sunday, 1 to 4 at Coliseum of Comics, signing autographs, taking pictures, telling stories, answering questions I may have missed. Walter, man, this is like a dream come true, man. It was super awesome to interview, super awesome to meet you. I can't wait to meet you in person this weekend. I can't wait
to meet all of you. I said, I can't wait to miss you. Okay. Yeah. I can't wait to meet all you guys, man. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in Florida. So come on down, check me out. Let's have a good time.
Again, Walter, thank you.
Peace and love. You know what time it is, right? It's
we can do it. Can we do it? Can we morph together? Are we gonna do it?
You ready? Here we go.
Oh yeah.
Ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3. It's morphin' time.
Velociraptor.
Mastodon.
There it is.
All right, brother. You be cool.
Thank you.